As the hydraulic lift clicked steadily upward towards the quickest money they would ever make, the masked figures looked down at the street below. They knew a lift heading straight for a 19th century window at the Louvre might raise some serious eyebrows. Time was already running out. These were not average thieves. Their target was the French crown jewels, collectively valued at nearly $100 million. They had to be quick and precise. The bucket reached the second floor, and one of them pulled out an angle grinder with a smirk. This building was touted as the most secure museum in the world, yet they were about to get inside. Once inside, they knew their success depended entirely on their level of rehearsal. Every move was deliberately calculated, and in less than 8 minutes, 9 priceless pieces of jewelry vanished into the Paris morning. Now, let's stop right there. You are watching Crypto Crimes, and I know you're wondering why we are discussing a physical robbery. It is a perfect analog. The biggest, most daring crimes today rarely involve a ladder truck and an angle grinder. They involve a single line of malicious code, a compromised private key, and a decentralized ledger. But in both the physical Louvre and the digital vault of a major crypto exchange, the criminals exploit the exact same thing: security, complacency. The Louvre has stood longer than many countries, starting as a 12th century fortress before becoming a palace and finally a public museum in 1791. To understand how anyone could plan to rob it, you have to know its history of failures. It truly became famous in 1911 by creating what we would now call the world's first viral sensation, or meme, by getting robbed. We are, of course, talking about the Mona Lisa. Today, millions queue up to see her every year, not primarily because of the art, but because she was stolen. Vincenzo Perugia's simple master plan was to walk in, hide the painting under his coat, and walk right back out. The ensuing outrage and the spread of news via the new telegraph technology plastered her face all over Europe. This made her the most talked about face for weeks, securing her legacy. A century passed since that easy theft. You would assume security would be perfect video surveillance, alarms, bulletproof glass. Yet, despite all modern advances, the Louvre still had critical security flaws ripe for abuse. This mirrors the modern digital world. How many times have we seen a multi-million-dollar DeFi rug pull or an exchange hack followed by the same question: how could this still happen? There is always a point of entry, a neglected vulnerability, or a forgotten patch of code. The security failings at the Louvre were well known, with labor unions complaining about staff reductions and a severe lack of funding for technical equipment. Warnings about water leaks and faulty equipment went unheeded until something dramatic finally happened. On October 19th at 9:30 a.m., the ladder truck pulled up. At 9:31, 2 figures in high-vis vests ascended to the second floor, heading for the Galerie d'Apollon, a gallery holding the French crown jewels. The critical fact was that the only exterior camera on that side of the building was pointed the wrong way, creating a total blind spot. By 9:32, battery-powered disc grinders quickly cut the historic, unreinforced window glass. At 9:33, they entered, triggering the alarm. But the guards had no clear idea where the break-in was occurring due to the spotty camera coverage. Think about that moment of alarm. It is similar to a system administrator watching the transaction logs during a flash loan attack. They know a massive attack is happening, but the sheer speed makes identification and response nearly impossible. At 9:35, they began the looting. The thieves were highly selective, taking the tiara of Empress Eugenie, the emerald necklace, and the sapphire set. Most interestingly, they intentionally left behind the Regent diamond. Why abandon the most valuable stone? Because it was too famous, too recognizable. It could not be sold or broken down into raw materials without immediate trace. This analogy holds up perfectly in crypto crimes, where large amounts of traceable stablecoins are often immediately swapped for Monero or other privacy coins to avoid being tracked by a central authority. By 9:38, Just 7 minutes after they started, they were already climbing back out the window with the loot, dropping the emperor's crown in their final hasty descent. At 9:40, they disappeared on their scooters. As French police descended upon the museum, they found gloves, a walkie-talkie, and angle grinders. They also found DNA on the basket lift and the getaway scooters. But the key to solving this crime was the digital evidence. Investigators quickly focused on the strong suspicion of an inside job, as union statements made it clear that the robbery was a consequence of security cuts. They checked the phones of the security staff. What they discovered was digital forensic evidence. A member of security was in contact with the robbers, reportedly providing sensitive information about the museum layout and operations. This is where the line between a physical heist and a sophisticated digital financial crime truly blurs. The physical items were stolen, but the crime was planned and executed using digital communication. If this crime were a crypto heist, the key to the entire investigation would be blockchain forensics. The concept is the digital equivalent of sifting for DNA, but instead of finding physical trace evidence, you are tracking the irreversible, public, and time-stamped trail of transactions on a distributed ledger. For the Louvre crew, the mistake was using an unsecured instant messaging app. For the digital thieves in a major bridge hack, the mistake is the very public nature of the blockchain. Even if they use sophisticated mixers, analysts can trace the flow of funds from the compromised wallet through thousands of wallets to the off-ramp. They use advanced graph analysis to find the common, careless mistakes that reveal the true identity of the criminal. The French authorities acted quickly, thanks to this digital trace. Within 6 days, they knew one of the prime suspects was at Charles de Gaulle Airport, attempting to flee to Algeria, and he was arrested moments before boarding. Another suspect trying to flee to Mali was also caught. Eventually, 7 people connected to the heist were arrested, including the insider, with 4 suspects bizarrely caught waiting in line for a football match. The jewels are still missing, and experts believe they were broken down into raw materials, diamonds, and gold, to be sold untraceably for up to £40 million. This is why the recognizable Regent diamond was left behind. This leads to our essential takeaway for fighting digital age crime. Prevention means never skimping on security audits, multi-factor authentication, or robust smart contract development. The cost of an audit is always less than the cost of a multi-million-dollar hack. Response and recovery demand speed. In the digital world, the speed of blockchain forensics is the only defense. You have a small window to freeze funds on centralized exchanges before they vanish. Whether it is the physical DNA left in the basket or the digital transaction hash left on the ledger, criminals always leave a trace. Our job, and the job of blockchain forensics, is to use that indelible record to achieve justice. The Louvre Heist was a masterpiece of analog crime, ultimately undone by basic digital evidence. The next great heists will be purely digital, but they will be solved by the revolutionary transparency of the blockchain.